Nintendo has never, ever, ever had a good UI design. The best that we can hope for is the Nintendo Switch's home screen, which every time I bring up, somebody's gotta also bring up the lack of themes and folders. And those are all valid grievances, but we're not here to talk about those. We're here to talk about the Nintendo Switch eShop. The Nintendo Switch currently has 2,411 games, according to Wikipedia, and 3,819 games, according to the eShop itself. But some of those are physical copies or double SKUs or whatever. A lot of these games and some of the best games on the Nintendo Switch are only available via digital download, which means that you're probably going to have to interact with the eShop in order to play these games. After playing some of these great games, it's completely understandable that someone might want to peruse the eShop to find something new to play. But there's so many factors that make this increasingly difficult, including some developers gaming the system. That's right, there's corruption in the eShop right now. Okay, you know what, it's not that important. There's much more important things going on right now that we should probably be worried about. But yeah, no, let's talk about this. There's two ways you can navigate the Switch eShop. There's the website, which is my preferred method because it's just easier to navigate. And there's the app itself on the Switch, which is more convenient because it's on the damn device you're gonna be playing the games on. Both are curated equally as poorly. Right when you open the app on the Switch, you're greeted with the featured section, which makes a lot of sense. This is where they're gonna put their big budget stuff, AAA stuff, their most popular games, and their top new releases. This way, if a new game is out and most people are traveling to the eShop for that, they can see it front and center and not have to go searching for it. It totally makes sense. Animal Crossing is probably one of the top sellers right now. I'm sure it's all the way at the top for most people. I'll note that on my Switch app, Animal Crossing is buried at the bottom, and on the website, it's all the way at the top for me. Probably because it knows that I bought the game already. Next is a recent releases tab, which might be the go-to if something released that day and you can't find it on the featured tab. I'll also note that again, I think it knows what games I own because, for example, Good Job is nowhere to be found on the app, but it's on the website. Then there's great deals, best sellers, coming soon, Nintendo Switch Online, and enter code. I don't actually use this enter code tab. Not many people know that there's actually a way to enter the code on the website. It's just buried really deep in that website. I don't actually know how to navigate to it from the homepage. I have it bookmarked somewhere. So I'll link it in the description below so you can save it yourself for easy access. But the main subject I want to talk about today is the great deals section and the best sellers section. Now, the great deals section isn't a thing on the website for some reason, but best sellers is. For people who don't know any better, these are the sections people are going to navigate when they want to try to find a new game to spend their remaining eShop credits on. Or maybe they just want something new and fun and cheap to play. Problem number one is that there's no rating system to be found here. You can just throw a dart at the internet and you'll hit a review for the big Nintendo stuff like Xenoblade Chronicles or even BioShock on the Switch. But how am I supposed to know if something like Feudal Alloy is worth my $3.39? Unlike every other app store in existence, the eShop lacks a rating, review, or comment system. It's a very un-Nintendo thing to allow comments, and I understand why. They don't want to have an avenue for weirdos to talk to kids or for people to just be generally inappropriate, and that's fine. But would a star rating really kill you? You can heart stuff, which adds it to your wish list. Maybe add up the people who favorited it? A weird little UI quirk is that you can't unwishlist it by clicking the heart again, so you're just kind of stuck with it. The lack of any sort of rating system means that there's no easy in-app way to tell if a game is any good besides just looking at it. Jumping Joe looks really enticing for 16 cents, but is it worth my time and my storage space? Well, I can tell you unequivocally that it is not. Oh, hey, those are the guys that made the coloring book app. I like that one. This whole lack of any rating system and the huge breadth of games available for this thing are the reasons why eShop sales videos and eShop top 10 videos and cheap eShop videos all do so well on YouTube, and rightfully so. Nintendo didn't have a good solution for finding new games on their platform, so us creators made our own way to find the good stuff. I highly encourage you to check videos like those out instead of browsing the eShop, because you'll often find more information and better games there. The eShop has always been bad since the Switch came out, but it wasn't until Parker of Fanatics4 posted this video about the great deals page that I really got to thinking.
You know how there's that whole thing where games will be like 1 cent and then sell a whole lot, and then they'll be on the bestsellers page and be up there, and that whole thing on the eShop? Well, it looks like Nintendo's like kind of patched that out a little bit, because if we go to the great deals here, so the first game's Drawful, that's 9 cents, 100%, go buy that. You go buy that right now. But then those next two games, which Brad Cheney, Che Capo, told me about, Conduct Together and whatever the other one's called, that are 1 cent each, and they're at the top of the great deals, which means they're selling better than the ones under it. If we go to the best sellers list, then we'll see a bunch of games up here. Drawful 2, that was the first one, that was 9 cents, that makes sense that that's up there. Watermelon Party Versus, which is 3 cents. And above that, we see Octopath Traveler, which is on sale as well. So they're not taking games off that are on sale. Even if I go to the downloads only games, same thing, whatever, you get the point.
So apparently there was a surge of publishers making their games just 1 penny so that they'd be pushed to the top of the great deals page, and then everyone would see a game for a penny and they would buy it, and then so many people would buy it that it would then end up in the best sellers page for 1 penny. And they look like they're just great games, but really they're just cheap. Once they're in the best sellers page, they can then change their price back to what it was before it was on sale, and then it's completely removed from the great deals page, covering their tracks. And that's how people hack the eShop and game the system. It's really simple and stupid. The point to Parker's video is that Nintendo kind of fixed this by removing all of the 1 cent games from the best sellers page, but you could just get around this by making your game 2 cents.
So it looks like they've specifically, if a game is 1 cent, it's not showing up on the best sellers list anymore, which is great. And that actually really helps like keeping the integrity of bestsellers a little bit. I mean, still there's a 3 cent game up there, so like, whatever. But just thought I'd share that.
This tweet of Parker's was made on March 27th. On last Thursday, May 28th, Will sent me this screenshot asking me if this game was any good. Revenge of the Bird King. Now, I haven't heard anything about this game other than it's 1 cent. But it looks like my type of game. It looks pretty cool. I love me a good 2D platformer. But that game has a 5.5 user rating on Metacritic. So probably not worth anyone's time. And probably not worth still being on the bestsellers page at $5. Remember, Will sent me this screenshot on Thursday, and it was 1 cent all the way up until yesterday. Today, when I checked, it was $5. And it's now, guess what, off the great deals page and still in the bestsellers page. Has it been 1 cent since March? I severely doubt that. I think they've been bringing it back and forth between 1 cent and $5 to keep it in the bestsellers page. And I don't mean to shit all over this game or its publisher, Limited Run Games, who usually does really good stuff, because they're not alone. There's also Soul Searching, which is currently $2 and has a 6.3 user score on Metacritic. Lydia, which is also $2 and has a 7.3 actual score, which isn't terrible. Elemental Knights R, which is 96% off at 75 cents. with not even enough info for a user score. So how did it end up on the best sellers page? It really must not take much to game this system. There's also Classic Games Collection Volume 1, which is currently on sale for just 49 cents, probably in preparation for the release of Clubhouse Games this week. The real test will be if the price of this goes up when Clubhouse Games releases. That would be real scummy. And there's probably a bunch of stuff on the bestsellers page that was on sale a ridiculous amount and just isn't anymore, because there's a ton of garbage on there. There's also a bunch of stuff on the great deals page that is clearly trying to end up in the bestsellers page, but isn't there yet. The best thing Nintendo could do to fix this is to just implement a rating system on the Switch so that normies who don't normally watch YouTube videos like this one will know what they're buying before they buy it. I just don't see that happening anytime soon. The eShop has pretty much never changed since the Switch launched. This video is from 2 days before the Switch launched, and it looks exactly the same. So any major changes to the rating system is pretty unlikely. Or, they could just better regulate what makes it into the bestsellers page. The best thing that you could do is use the multitude of different YouTube channels and websites that'll basically curate the eShop for you. They'll tell you the best eShop deals or the best new games that you should be paying attention to on the eShop. Or you could just be adventurous. Spend that 1 penny on that weird random game. What's the harm in 1 penny? Just know that when you buy that game, it's rising it up the ranks of the eShop and potentially onto that bestsellers page in front of more people. Oh, also we could use home screen folders too, that'd be nice. Anyway, what do you guys think about the current state of the eShop? Is there anything that you'd like to see changed about it? Do you think it's fine as is? Did you learn something about this weird epidemic of 1 penny games or super cheap games? Do you think it's weird, or do you have an answer for why it's like that I couldn't think of? Leave it in the comments below, at me on Twitter, any and all of this other social media garbage. I also encourage you to check out Parker. I think he posted a video today, and I think I'm in it for like a hot minute. Anyway, we got new videos and live streams all the time. Our schedule is usually in a pin tweet over on Twitter. This week, everything's moved because the world's on fire. But every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time is Wulff Den Live, our live podcast, where we can talk to each other. We also talk to each other on twitch.tv/WulffDen, where we play games and just hang out. You know how it is. Go there and put on notifications so you know when I go live. But of course, the most important thing and easiest thing that you could do is just subscribe. It's just a button. And share this video with a friend who might not know about the wild world of eShop and maybe needs to. Or maybe a friend who's just looking for some new games and wants to know how. Thank you guys very much. Have yourself a good week. Give me a hug and a kiss. A big, hairy kiss.